trying to get a little bit of, let me make sure I got everything here. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. I gotta mark this off. And this card's here, and unfortunately my pants are falling down. Stupid sweatpants that lost their elastic. Alright, so she went up a level, or he went up a level, the Craghart, and this was kind of tough actually. I ended up taking this one because it allows me to play around with obstacles, cause some problems with them, and drop them into things, and I think that's going to be kind of potent. Maybe I'm mistaken. In particular, I liked the other level 2 attack that I didn't take, mainly because it was a little slower, and I'm like, well, he's slow enough as it is. And then I purchased some stuff. I only got 1 Ring of Skulls for the Tinkerer. He could have bought one, but instead, in fact, he had a ton of money, 70-something bucks. Instead, I picked up the Piercing Bow. Someone pointed out that those cards that are Shield 1 or whatever, the monster action cards or whatever, shouldn't be replacement shields, but additionals. I don't know if I'll ever be able to remember that. But the fact that this allows you to wipe out all shield values, the fact that things like the Fire Demon, I think it was, have huge shield values that are a pain in the ass to cope with sometimes, and the amount of multi-target ranged attacks makes this an interesting choice. So I went with that, and I went with the goggles to get the advantage, again, for attacks that end up hitting multiple enemies. That's a really valuable thing to have. And she took the bow as well. I think it's a little less valuable for her, but she didn't have a whole hell of a lot of cash, and certainly doesn't want to do a melee attack card. Basically what I'm doing is I'm filling out the slots that they haven't gotten yet. So a second small item here. At level 3 we can have that. A head item and the hand items. The hand items here. The Tinker still has room for 1 more hand item, but as things stand, adding a melee weapon didn't seem very valuable. I'm a little uncertain how powerful the Ring of Skulls is going to be. I found that summoned critter wasn't terribly useful in the last couple of situations because they have this pre-programmed actions like the monsters do. And this isn't really powerful. It doesn't have any ranged attacks. It's got 3 hit points, but it's got a move and attack that aren't really huge. However, maybe it will, and it's a skeleton, not living bones, so it's not going to be able to heal itself or anything like that. But maybe it'll at least be able to attract some enemy attention and prevent an attack from taking place on me. It also might be more potent than I fear that it's going to be, but at first it looked like that would be great. But I don't want to have a lot of little critters cluttering the board. That's going to make life more difficult, so let's just keep it to 1 additional critter that I've got there. For perk for Craghart, I took 2 green mana added to the deck. What I really ought to be doing is removing the 4 zeros if I want that. What I notably did not take was the ignore negative item effects. I only have 1 item that would apply to, and I already have a set of armor, so I would either have to sell my armor for what admittedly is better armor, and I'd make like $1 off that process because it's only a $10 thing. It's better armor if it doesn't have its penalty, but its penalty sucks. Its penalty is like 2 cards gone or something like that. Really an ugly penalty. I think only someone with disadvantage would probably take it. But with only one card that has that is benefited by that, I didn't want to do that, especially since there were other things that I was more interested in buying. I'm pretty sure we're going to go to the swamp. Spellweaver wants us to do that. Hey, that's her goal. So we're going to take a look at a city card first, though, before we head out and see what we get. As the daylight fades, you find yourselves wandering through a half-crowded market street, browsing wares. Hey, over here. You turn in the direction to the voice of a filthy vermling gesturing from a dark alley. Yeah, you grim-looking chaps, I have something you might be interested in. Ooh. The vermling holds out a piece of metal covered in sludge. Found this in the sewer. Writing on it I don't understand, but I know it's valuable. You can have it for 10 gold. Yeah. Let's pay for the thing. You never know. The other option is not to pay, which probably will give us nothing. I don't know who's going to buy it, but let's see what we get. Pay 10 collective gold. You hand over the gold and take hold of the piece of garbage. Amidst troubling brown smears, you see a lot of meaningless scratches, likely made by rats and bugs. Oh well, sometimes the long shot doesn't pay off. Well, that sucks. Alright. And I waited until late to start setting this up, figuring I'll have a game of it to play for tomorrow. I'm not sure this is going to work. So Runius Crypt says I can get to Forgotten Crypt number 19. Great. It just says it. I don't think there was anything that I got out of this. It didn't, create any new situations. I may have to look through the book because number 19 has a requirement, the power of enhancement, global complete. Well, I don't have that. I don't know what this means. I'm not sure how I can get to this adventure, but I was going to go do this one. However, it doesn't seem like I have the prerequisites, but I shouldn't be being given access to it in that case. I don't know what the fuck to do. I guess I'm going to look online at errata and such, not try to track this down. But I honestly do not know if... there was another one that I was supposed to do. There was another option to talk to this chickie from that scenario, I believe, which is number 14. Maybe I could look there. Like, maybe I shouldn't be getting this one unless I do 14 first, Frozen Hollow. Yeah, this one says I have to find the Enchantress and then... and I get the power of enhancement from it. So, I guess we're going to push to do this one instead and go try to find her, because otherwise we don't get her. Once we get this, I think it opens up not just 19, but another one as well. But I don't know, because we had, geez, this isn't arranged very nicely. It's not easy to keep track of all the crap. Runius gave me this. Something, the warehouse or something, gave me another thing that was go find her for this. Yeah, also gave me 14. And I would think maybe 7 I can't do. Likewise, yeah, 7 I have to have power of enhancement too. So what it's not doing is it's not spelling out the, yeah, you have access to this, but you can't actually do it. And I guess you're supposed to trace it down and figure that out. Anyway, I guess we'll be going to 14 or whatever and try to figure out where that is. It's not exactly where we want it to be. Well, this road event I'm getting is not
an easy one to resolve in my head. You're trudging through some foothills when you hear the strangest sound in the distance. It sounds vaguely like wolves howling, but higher pitched, and there's rhythm and melody. You crest a nearby hill and survey the area, spying a pack of vermilions standing in a circle and singing. Singing is the best way you can describe it. Option A is the song must serve some nefarious purpose, attack the vermlings, and B is to move closer and enjoy the music. I don't like either of those. um, my gut reaction would be either stop up your ears and try to investigate, or, avoid the thing. This isn't that kind of game, though. It's not a full role-playing experience. Even just, in terms of, hey, you're faced with puzzles and traps and such. Not that I consider that full role-playing. But I need to find out about vermlings. Do I have any available to me yet? So I'm going to look through the... there was that weird mind... control critter. Maybe that's one. I'm not sure. Looking up on their description, they're a scavenging animalistic race. They feed off the flesh of the dead, and when they can't find any of that, they're more than happy to do the killing themselves. They're primitive and weak-willed, easily controlled by more powerful races with the right combination of pandering and intimidation. They typically form hunting bands and fulfill their basic needs. Universally shunned and feared in human areas. Often city-dwelling, they'll flee to the sewers, communications with large numbers. So they're without a pack to connect them. They form strong bonds with the massive rat population. So my feeling is that we might be facing mind thieves here. Or at least one, which means we might get dominated if we're not careful. My other fear is, though, that if we attack them, we're almost guaranteed to have a problem. So I'm going to go enjoy the music, I guess. I can't imagine this is going to be good. It looks like it was. Not waiting to disturb the ritual. You inch closer, they go through a number of different tunes, and you feel enriched by the experience. 3 experience each. Well, that worked out pretty well. No prerequisites. This is a kill all enemies. An enchanter has been called for, so an enchanter must be found. Following the reports from Ace there in the Boiler District, you find yourself standing before an abandoned and decrepit tavern, the Crooked Bone. Opening the door, the inside looks exactly like the outside advertised. Spiderwebs, blah, blah, blah. Stepping past the threshold, a translucent female suddenly appears before you. Why have you come to this place, mercenaries? Your presence is unwanted, and you are disrupting my research. You quickly explain why you have come, and the woman's frown deepens. Oh, look at the Aether woman. She can fulfill all our wishes. All she has to do is wave her hands, and all our wildest dreams will come true. She sighs in frustration and actually does wave her hands. Leave me in peace. You don't move. She stares. Well, instead of disrupting, then maybe you could help. Scratch my back, and maybe I'll scratch yours. That's how these things work, right? The woman turns and walks towards a destroyed set of stairs, but after a few steps, she fades away entirely. I need an orb from the frozen hollow in the Copperneck Mountains. The woman's voice comes from directly in front of you, as if she hadn't moved at all. Bring it back to me, and I may help you. The map drops at your feet. My name is Hale, by the way. Do not come back without the orb. The map is easy to follow. Deep in the Copperneck Mountains, obscured by snowdrifts, you find the opening to a dark, narrow cave. The wolf tracks around the entrance are troubling, but with firm resolve you enter. I've got to add 3 -1 cards to each character's attack modifier deck. That's the scenario effect. But 2 of my people aren't affected by that. So she'll be getting 3 -1s added. A good speed situation off the beginning. Only the Tinkerer got to go first over the wolves. But I managed to immobilize 2 of the wolves. Those are actually gone now because they've gotten their turn. And then turned myself invisible so I wouldn't get 2 of them. They have this bonus attack if they managed to gang up on me, making it so that only the Cragheart could get hit. Summoned my skeleton back there. Did her normal, hey, let's get, some build up stuff, my ally, the pluses to attack. I was planning on bonusing up Craghart the same kind of way, but he had an opportunity to kill 2 wolves, the 2 immobilized elite wolves. That seemed like a great idea. He charged forward. It was not such a good idea. He's up. He's got a lot of hit points now, but and I don't think I charged him up. He's down to 8. But unfortunately, I didn't pay attention to the fact that these have retaliate 2 on them. And I also failed to kill one, which works out kind of poorly for me. I was expecting to get 2 monsters out of the way. Seemed worth giving up, my original plan. Now, doesn't seem so good. The weak overall strength of those living spirits, but their high shield value. I fired off my bow and did a pretty devastating attack with Craghart and wiped out everything back here and did some damage over there as well. And that means actually the players are all going to go before the enemies because the wolves are all that's left. And we finish up the rest of the monsters. The spell Weaver actually did it. She managed to kill 2 of them, which is a big deal because she has to kill 5 critters to get her check mark. He's got to wipe out his cards. He's got to open up a door. But now we've got everything empty. So, it's charge forward, I guess. I don't want to necessarily do a rest right away because I've still got quite a bit of deck left on everybody. She didn't do any movement, though. She had one of those, hey, I got an attack on the bottom of a card. That's cool. And it really was, because we were able to pick off a couple of hounds that way. And charging into the door, nothing I can do. The critters are too far away for me to hit. However, we get to see them, and we get to see where they go, which is fairly slow, but faster than my follow-ups, which is kind of a problem. Craghart, he ate up a lot of damage, the Tinker, and had to kill a card to prevent himself from going down. He would have been dead if he hadn't. He's not as bad off as he could be. And then Craghart came forward and threw a big hit on these 2, disarming one of them. The other one's dead, so no biggie there. These guys are going to take a while there. Here we've got some of the problem, which is a lot of room in these rooms, a lot of distance to be covered in this long corridor. And these guys are getting left behind. Of course, these guys are also didn't move. Did they? They must have. Well, he didn't move, but let me make sure. He should have moved and did not. So he should have been moving 3 and does not have ranged attack. Yeah, just lost track of the people in the monsters in the back. She's done her long rest. Question is whether these guys want to do short rests. I had to burn another card. I took like a 5-point damage or something along those lines. It would have been 5 points because I had a shield up. I don't want to take that much damage, so burning a card seemed like a good idea, even though we're kind of running close to the edge here. And then there's still a lot of monsters left here, and I'm real close to them. I don't really feel like I can afford a long rest. I feel like I have to launch some attacks, and unfortunately these damn things are just so slow. Her slow recovery, I fired off the mana thing after looking at my cards in the situation. Not really cheating, nothing happened in between, because she's going to want some red mana. I'm always bad at pre-planning stuff like that. Like, I need to create this color for being able to do this next turn. I'm especially bad at it with that card because it's not right in my hand as I'm considering what I'm going to play. Although, I don't know, because these get tucked away, I may not end up doing things in the order that creates the color that I need necessarily. But
luckily I can sometimes count on other characters to create the mana that I need. So the enemies got a jump. Frost Demon here, well, one of them healed himself, and they immobilized the Tinker, which took away some of his movement capability, but I wasn't really sure how much he wanted to move. But it also took, he did a fairly major attack, firing off his glasses. It did a lot of damage to two of the Frost Demons. So now they all have some damage on them. The elite one had healed quite a bit. It was able to take that blue mana that was kicking around out there and use that. But, kind of nice thing, the Living Spirits were not able to get in range, or there's only one, was not able to get in range to launch an attack. Now I gotta reshuffle that sucker, but we'll see if the others can do any significant damage. Well, fucking idiot. I did not need the red mana, so I'm actually not having created that and taking my potion back. I get easily confused. Iconography doesn't work well for me, but neither would words. It's just a matter of it's hard for me to balance all those thoughts in there. Reverse attacks were not as effective as I hoped. She drew a nullify, and a number of other things went wrong too. I should have gone with the green mana attack. I could have hit two things with that just as easily as two with the other one, and then I would have created green mana, which Cragheart could have used to up his damage bonus and get himself some XP. Instead, I didn't do that. But that wasn't his plan, you see. His plan was to get that extra targeting. However, I can always do that as I'm running down the board. And my feeling was, well, I need to get these muddles on these things to reduce their effectiveness on an attack, because it was starting to look kind of bad. And other bonus was I managed to kill off one of the critters. She actually killed one as well, so now we're down to just two, which makes life a little easier, but I'm worried about that final room. Pretty sure we can get through this one, but it always seems to come down to a really tough call at the end. A combination of how tough it is, but also how much you have to think. And I'm not very good at thinking, there's no question of that. And plan and stuff like that. That gets kind of in the way for me. Not the realism side of things, that irritates the crap out of me. But when I'm playing it, it doesn't affect me as much. It's more like when I look at it afterwards, I'm like, that really irks me somehow. But for whatever reason, when I'm playing games, the realism doesn't hit me as much, even though I make lots of words about it. But what does tend to bug me a great deal is whatever effort I have to put in. And I feel like I'm having to put in a lot of thinking effort. I don't like thinking. Thinking's hard. I don't mind mechanical effort as much. And I know that puts me in opposition to most Eurogamers, etc. But if there's anything that's going to defeat my sort of enjoyment of the game over the long term, it's how much I have to think. And if I made it easier, if I dropped it a level or whatever, that probably wouldn't be as necessary. But on the other hand, that also would, I don't know. I'd feel less manly. I don't know. I mean, it's like I could definitely get away with that, but I don't feel like it's that hard to actually play. I feel like I'm more just kicking myself for doing things poorly, and then if I lose when I do things poorly, I'm really upset. The one that I did lose, I don't feel like was necessarily contingent on particularly poor play, though. I feel like that was more not knowing what I was facing, which is just one of the things that lets me play it solo and not take the increase in difficulty. I think that, in conjunction with kind of splitting my brain and not trying to coordinate, does pretty well. But yeah, and it's not just that. So losing is frustrating. That's part of it, and that's just straight there. I don't like losing a pure luck game regularly. I'll stop playing it. But, which is one reason, I kind of don't like the States of Siege games. You can optimize, but they're still hard to win just because of the luck factor. With this, though, I feel like I'm putting too much thinking effort into preparing, especially my first turn. Once I get kind of into the pattern of play, it's not so painful. And there's also the cost of setup. But these things kind of drive me into I'm not sure I'm going to make it through very much further. I don't know. I'm still enjoying. It's not that, but it's sort of this conflict between, well, the way the game plays out and the fact that it's like, I mean, would it be interesting if it weren't requiring so much, planning and effort and such? Or would it just feel like a dice fest then? And I'd be like, well, that's not keeping my attention either. So that's where the balance works for me. For most players nowadays, probably they're happier with that. Hey, it's kind of tough, and I have to plan and I have to come up with, how to do this right and everything. For me, there's more of a balancing act there. Because that kind of thinking effort and having to pre-plan and do things correctly really gets in the way of my enjoyment more than anything else. But on the other hand, it may also be the only thing that drives the enjoyment in this game. Because again, the realism side of it and everything isn't really there. And the story's kind of light, it's neat to think about and everything. But I'm thinking about Source of the Nile. I've never covered a whole map of Source of the Nile in a session, in a set of sessions or whatever. I've played it a couple of times on one map and then said, it's time to wipe it off, And this, I feel more compunction to keep playing it because it's not. If I was creating random dungeons, I wouldn't feel that. I'd feel like, well, I've explored enough of the random dungeons, but here there's sort of a storyline that's going through it, and I do want to explore that. So there's a drive for that. So I don't know. We'll see. This turn did not go well. First of all, the Frost Demon stole the red mana I wanted. Hurt himself, but that's fine. Only did 1 point of damage. I needed 2, which is what I would have gotten off that attack. Secondly, Craghart promised to try to kill this. Thought he was going to do it. Wasn't able to. And that kind of screwed everything up. And then these buttheads still not able to get into, position to attack anything. They're just too fucking slow. And I'm beginning to think that I may not even want to bring this card. At least that thing's got range. The Skull Ring, I doubt I'll buy another one. It's pretty fucking expensive for something that, if you drop it right away, it might get killed right away. If you put it in front of you or whatever. If you drop it late in a round when you're prepping or something, it might be able to get an attack in before it gets killed. But it's just not that tough. It doesn't have ranged attacks, so it's going to be running right into combat. And both of these are too slow to catch up if you're in this situation where you're in kind of a running battle or something. I mean, I'm lucky to have it as close as it is, just because I haven't been able to cope with these fuckers. Looks like I'm up to another rest for the Spellweaver, which is not good because I don't have a lot of cards coming back, but, if we clear this room, I'll have time to recover my cards again. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just I don't know, because I'm actually going to be recovering my pile of cards kind of late in the scenario, maybe just before I come through this door or whatever, which isn't too bad. But these guys are getting tired too. Forgot last round, a couple of curses were dealt out too, which is why you want to kill those fuckers. But yeah, and instead I got close and wasn't quite able to do it. Able to clean up the problem a little bit, but these things getting left behind again. The skeleton charged forward, made an attack that maybe I didn't want it to make, and ended up taking 2 wounds for that. And the nice thing about the skeleton is it does have 3 hits.
the 2 hits on this, it's almost always the case that you take 2 hits. So, I mean, like the retaliation, for example. But of course, ranged combat would mean it wasn't affected by this. But it went too late to get a shot off, and these things moving only speed 2. They keep getting clogged behind each other or behind the critter, behind the heroes. But we've cleared the room, and now we can continue on. I feel pretty damn good. We need to do a rest here. That's going to be a long rest, even though I don't need healing. I got a couple items to recharge. He's going to need to do a long rest as well, clear out his items. She just got her cards back. Probably move forward and do a long rest to get back, because I won't be spending any cards when I'm not, any permanent cards when I'm not doing combat. Because it's fairly late in the scenario, kind of run out pretty quick of cards. So she's long resting. Tinker is going to have to either rest. Could have blown this off, but he chose not to. He might do a short rest. He's charged up otherwise, so it's not that big a deal. But I have to go through the door. I'm running out of cards. Craghart goes through, and this is what we're facing: a bunch of wolves and cult spirits. That's kind of cool because the spirits are the cursors, and it means that we didn't have to suffer as many of them early in the scenario, but I've got 3 curses amongst my decks. The dogs I wasn't really counting on, but I figured I'd be facing more of those frost spirits. But the dogs aren't too bad. They've got the retaliate, but they're weaker than the frost demons, and I'm assuming that their combat capabilities, their deck of special abilities and stuff is going to be less than Mr. Critter. There's a frost demon in there too. My attack was kind of cool, actually. I managed to... let me just look at him. You know what? He's going to be able to move next to me. I'm actually going to move here. There's some advantages to me being there in terms of the cards that I'm holding. I have the destroy an adjacent obstacle and blow up all kind of people on it. If I survive. One thing that I did... Oh! I had an extra target. Shit. I forgot about that. I think that just lets me shoot 1 additional piece. It doesn't create another whole zone of attack. What's the range on this? The range is 2. Alright, we'll hit that too. Chances are I can't do much about it. Just another muddle. Everybody is muddled. That's number 6. As a matter of fact, I could have gone here anyway. There's no real harm to that. I wasn't going to break through their shields with the weak attack that I did. But I've reduced their capacity to do a lot of damage to me. I'm surprised the curses aren't coming out. Maybe they are, and I'm not noticing them. I am seeing nulls, but I haven't pulled any curses out of any of the decks yet. I may just not be noticing them and hurting myself more. Now, the problem is, we go to these things, and these aren't going to be attacking. The wolves are just going to be muddling. But these guys are going to be attacking, so we'll see what the order is. The wolves will probably get in the way of anything that doesn't have range. The whole thing about this is because I'm moved next to this, it tries to move away. It triggers this damn trap, which stuns it instead of just muddling it. These have all cleared their muddles. So far, I have not paid much of a price for charging in there, but there's a lot of critters there. There's definitely an issue with that. And that space out was bad because now the ice demon can get an attack, which wasn't too terrible, but it was 3 hit points on me. And this is going to be another close one, I can tell. And regardless of our lagging lackeys, blowing up the obstacle, did a lot of damage, killed a few things. She was able to toss off one hell of an attack. It just blew shit up. And even the Tinker charged up and
blasted things. So everybody did a lot of damage this turn. It was really quite impressive overall how much was generated. And nobody got killed, although Craghart's in pretty bad shape. He didn't have a card to burn, so that's a good thing. We still got the Frost Demon to kill off, and if we can manage it, the treasure chest, the Frost Demon's not in great shape. It's taken 7 hits out of 12. Now, some of the damage, a lot of the damage Craghart took was from retaliation attack effects, because if we look, no, they just got some crappy pulls. I got rid of one of the -1s from her deck. Remember, there was a scenario penalty, which these two were not affected by. She hasn't been doing a lot of fighting. She finally came in with the big blast. This thing all charged up and everything. He's doing a short rest, and the one card he wants most is the card he has to discard. So I'm going to take a hit point of damage. I only have 2 hits left after this, but I'll lose one of these cards. I'll have 3 cards total. That's 2 to play and 1 to avoid the damage that the Frost Demon does. It'll let me jump to the treasure chest and probably kill off that Frost Demon, depending on what I get. It's going to be this card goes away. I lucked out. Craghart didn't manage to kill this on his jumping and all that kind of crap, and it came down to her. She had to blast this thing off with an attack of 3, 4, 5 from this. I owe myself an XP for that I didn't give. I couldn't do this one because it was too risky. I gotta figure out what that number should be, whether it's a 6 or 7. I think it's probably a 7 because that helps me. Everybody succeeded in their check mark. Her attack, had this come up as a null, everybody would be out of cards, sort of. But they could do long rests and keep their turn going so that they lose 1 extra card. Now, it doesn't matter for Craghart particularly. He would not have anything that could help because he can't play a single card. But for these two, they'd have their critters that could come into play and conceivably finish it off. So it wasn't absolutely out of there. This thing was stunned multiple times, actually. So, yeah. But we did manage to kill it off, which is cool, and grab a little bit of treasure. I could not loot. I had to do the move 3 to get into range so that I could fire this off. It actually all worked out. It had to be this attack. Because the damn Tinker was in my way, I couldn't just move 2 with the attack ranges that I had. But, yeah. So, the treasure was a big pile of gold, 20 gold, which is great, but, you know, I would have rather something neat that I could check for. I gotta also fish out the garbage from my decks because they're full of garbage now. And conclusion with the last of your... What? With the last of your adversaries dead, I thought it said adventurers. You approach the back of the chamber where a small blue sphere floats above the floor. You slowly reach out, you find the orb cold to the touch, you grip it, you make your way back to the crooked bone, whatever the hell it is. It's unbearable. You enter the abandoned tavern and call out to Hale. With no response, you wander around, observing the chaotic mess. You wonder how she gets any work done. Sounds like my house. As you approach the counter, she appears holding the orb. Very interesting. She doesn't seem to notice you at all. A rift in our plane, somehow contained within a spherical barrier. Good thing you didn't break this on your way back. You could easily have been sucked into a realm of pure frost and been frozen solid before you had time to breathe. Or something worse could have happened. It's just so confounding. Who would have the power to do this? Hale takes a step to the left and disappears again. You wait for what feels like hours, refusing to sit on the few stools that haven't yet fallen apart. You call out occasionally, but receive no response. Oh, you're still here. You turn around to see Hale in the middle of the room. Good. I'd like to experiment on you, if it's all right. She reaches out to you, and you stumble backwards, falling over a table that splinters into hundreds of pieces. Oh, don't be a baby about it. I'm pretty sure it will end well. Hale explains that she wants to try to bring forth a raw power from another plane and contain it in a small orb that could give enhanced powers to anyone possessing it. Hey, yeah, I'll do that. The containment process, however, requires a lot of gold metal. Now that you have helped me in my endeavors, I suppose I should return the favor. So what is it exactly that you wanted?
Now this opens up 7, 19, 31, and 43. Not all of which are already open to me, but some of which are. And I almost feel like some of these require double events because I shouldn't want these things. So I'm really not sure. I looked them over, and 7 and 19 are ones that I have a right to go to as far as I'm concerned. 7 is the Vibrant Grotto. That's chasing the merchant down. 19 is the one in the swamp to deal. Oh yeah, I decided to pick this up. It gives a wound and +1. The Tinker got his thing. 19 is this Forgotten Crypt. It only requires the power of enhancement, even though something else gave me that. It doesn't have 2 different requirements on it. It doesn't have like a party thing. Out of the others, and I feel like, well, the story's leading me to this. Out of the others, though, what was it? 43, Drake's Nest only has power of enhancement. I could go do this. I have no reason to. It's like, oh my, you think you can? I can help you breathe underwater? What the fuck, you know? Obviously, this is part of some other storyline. I put the sticker on because it doesn't have another restriction on it, but I'm not going to go chasing that down. 31 is a little different. 31 is like, and maybe these are supposed to have multiple things. I don't know. 31 has this power of enhancement artifact global recovered thing. So obviously I can't do that. That's like when I wanted to go into 19 and didn't have the power of enhancement. 19 only requires power of enhancement, though, which is what I was saying. I think that's what I'm going to head for, but I've got to go back to Gloomhaven. Well, I don't have to, but I'm going to have to do a road travel anyway, so I might as well go back to Gloomhaven. I've got some piles of cash. I don't really have anything I'm gaining out of it, but I don't know. Maybe the Gloomhaven event will give me something, and maybe... Seriously, you only have $16? Shit. Maybe I have enough cash that there's something I want to pick up. I think he only has one small object, right? So you could get another small... Oh, the skeleton ring. I really don't think I want another one of those. He could pick up another small object. I am getting kind of risky here. If fills all of those out, I think he gets this, right? Will earn 15 checks from completed battle goals. In fact, I only need 6 more. It's not even filling it out that succeeds. So the Tinker is in danger of retiring fairly soon. I expect it'll be, at least 3 more adventures, probably more than that, because check marks aren't trivial to get. But, it's kind of a scary thing because I've been kind of happy with the Tinker. But it'll open up another box. Let me check, make sure I haven't gotten any of these. My reputation has not gone high enough yet. I haven't donated shit to anything. And I haven't done any of that shit. So, yeah. That's kind of annoying, is you have to keep hunting for those special check marks to see if you got anything there. I don't feel like there's anything I terribly want to do in Gloomhaven. But again, maybe I'll buy some extra equipment. She's got some cash too, and I don't know if I can cope with this mana thing. Oh, there's also the possibility of a melee weapon. Of course, in that case, I don't know. I've bought these piercing bows. This character, the Cragheart, has some melee capability, and he's beginning to use it. However, I really hate facing big shield numbers and being able to blast through those with area of effect weapon strikes that he's good at. Seems more appealing than what the Tinker can do in combat, honestly. Tinker doesn't have much in terms of melee. Right. Okay. I guess I've gone far enough in this. What was this? This was not Forgotten Crypt. I don't know what the fuck this was. Frozen something or another. Frozen Hollow. We'll send this one up.